Hey everybody, off the Mike Sports Network here. Reacting to the NBA playoffs, and man, listen, I got to tell you guys, like when I was looking at the NBA playoffs and the start of what I was seeing, I honestly thought the Los Angeles Lakers could make a run to potentially the Western Conference Finals, potentially, maybe match up with Oklahoma City. I was very wrong about that. They got exposed. There's a lot of different things that went wrong here, but I did not have them getting bounced in 5 games and only winning 1 game at home. They lost 2 at home. They lost 2 in Minnesota. Anthony Edwards didn't even play that well tonight. Anthony Edwards went 5 of 19, 0 of 11 from 3, only had 15 points. But Julius Randle was outstanding in this series, the former Laker. And then Rudy Gobert, who's the butt of every joke, goes for 27 and 24. And we'll have a discussion about this in a second about what really went wrong in this series. So listen, I'm not going to pretend to, I'm not going to just beat around the bush, and I'm going to go straight into it. Like, listen, a lot of us were wrong about the Lakers this year. The excitement around the Luka Doncic trade, I do think that they still did fleece the Dallas Mavericks. But what we failed to realize going into the playoffs and, like at that trade deadline as well, when they were trying to get the Mark Williams deal done, um, one, they got exposed in this playoff, and why they probably weren't going to go very far is because their lack of size, their lack of depth. And really, like he said, you have Luka Doncic and his inability to be a great defender and his lack of conditioning, which is one of the reasons why Dallas, fair or not, moved off of him. It's still, they could have gotten way more for him, in my opinion, and they didn't. Luka was not great in this series. He got sick in game 3. He was all right in this one. A lot of people are going to dunk on LeBron. Guys, LeBron's 40 years old. I know he's incredible, but like I think some people just want to find excuses to be mad at LeBron. The main culprit that I need to focus on here is why the Los Angeles Lakers are not advancing and they're out in 5 games. JJ Redick did not meet the moment as head coach. And I understand that he's a rookie head coach, and a lot of people were praising him. Kendrick Perkins wanted to give him coach of the year, all this other stuff. He overachieved this year. Still, that doesn't excuse the fact that he was horrendous in this series. Horrendous. Like, I understand Jackson Hayes wasn't going to give you a lot, but the way that he managed his rotation, specifically in game 4, is a big reason why the Lakers just, like, they were old, they were tired, and some of this is on Rob Pelinka because they didn't have any defensive anchor when they traded Anthony Davis in this Luka Doncic trade. But at the same time, as a head coach, you've got to make the pieces that you have work. And for whatever reason, a lot of this stuff worked in the season. They were the number 3 seed in the Western Conference, and yet you can't get out of the first round. You win 1 game in your first playoff series. Like, I understand that, Minnesota is still really good. Yes, Karl Anthony Towns is the big subtraction from this team that went to the Western Conference Finals last year. But you look at this team, like the Lakers should have won this series just based off purely, like from a perspective of, based off what they were in the regular season. The matchup, like the athleticism and, the youth really showed up in this series. And that was massively exposed. And Chris Finch, like, even though he didn't have the greatest series in it, like, he kind of put, JJ Redick in a blender. And JJ Redick lost his damn mind in the pregame press conference because he was clearly rattled by all of the public pressure for what was going on when you coach a team like the Los Angeles Lakers and you're down 3-1 in a series with LeBron James and Luka Doncic as your cornerstone players. But yeah, listen, everybody's going to want to dunk on Luka. Everyone's going to want to dunk on LeBron. Everybody's going to want to dunk on Rob Pelinka. But basically for me, Rob Pelinka and, JJ Redick. But Rob Pelinka made a trade for a transcendent talent. When you're the number 3 seed in the Western Conference as a head coach, whether you're in your rookie year or not, you can't get housed like this. The games were competitive. And then in the first game was just a joke. And then, the 2 games in Minnesota and really this last game here, game 5, the Lakers just didn't have any gas because JJ Redick just actively refused to like deep in his rotation. Jackson Hayes didn't play for whatever reason. Maxi Kleba, first game back since January, and he's getting key minutes. Dorian Finney-Smith was just playing crazy minutes. Luka Doncic, who can barely walk, is doing everything. LeBron at age 40 is playing 45 minutes in games in this series. Like, it was the coaching really got exposed. The roster construction, fair or not, because of what happened with the trade, and they didn't get Mark Williams. Like, Dalton Connect didn't see the court. Like, it was bizarre. So I got to give credit to Minnesota. By the way, low key, I think Minnesota's got a real chance to get back to the Western Conference Finals again, because whether they face Houston or they face Golden State, I think they're going to have an advantage, because Houston is young. They've got a lot of youth on their team. Like, yes, they have Fred VanVleet, who's a champion, and Dylan Brooks has been somewhat battle tested in his career with the Grizzlies, now with the Rockets. But yeah, there's a bunch of kids, and like Ime Udoka, a head coach who's been to the finals before. But like I said, this is a young roster with Houston. Golden State is kind of in the same boat as the Lakers are, to be honest with you. They're old. They're old. And, the longer a series goes on, I think that the youth and the defensive intensity and, the athleticism and the versatility is going to wear teams out. I think we just forgot really how good Minnesota was. And, we were just dismissing him because Cat's now in New York. Julius Randle played really, really well and kind of, kicked some of the playoff demons that he's had in his career. Rudy Gobert had a freaking outstanding game. When's the last time we ever saw him have a 2020 game, for goodness sake? And then Anthony Edwards wasn't even good in this game, but he was outstanding in this series. And this guy's supposed to be one of the faces of the league. So give credit to Minnesota. But if we're talking about the Lakers and what went wrong, like I said, I would honestly put, JJ Redick right at the top of the list. Rob Pelinka's got to be mentioned with some blame here, because they didn't, they kind of got gifted a superstar, but we kind of just omitted, hey, they've got no depth. Luke is not a great defender. They're gonna get exposed against faster, younger, and more athletic teams, and they did. They met their match. LeBron at age 40, they're out in the first round. We'll need to have a conversation about LeBron at some point, about what his legacy is moving forward. Because I think everybody's getting out in front of their horses and trying to, use this as a referendum on the GOAT debate, but I'm not going to have that anymore. Like, I'm over that shit. So, this is a massive letdown for the Lakers, because it's just like, some of this might have been, hey, we got some fool's gold, but also at the same time, when you're the number 3 seed in the Western Conference and, you're matched up against a 6 seed, you shouldn't be losing 2 home games and being bounced in 5 games by the 6 seed. Granted, Minnesota's a really good team, and I think we just underestimated them as well. It's a combination of a bunch of different things, but if you want to focus on the Lakers side of this thing, their best players didn't show up against Minnesota's best players. They got out coached, and, kind of frankly, the roster construction of this team got exposed, and a lot of things that we just negated to talk about were put on full display. Everybody's going to act shocked and surprised by this. Maybe we shouldn't be, but like I said, I think really the one thing that I think needs to be, completely put under a microscope here is, how is JJ Redick going to respond to this? Because this was his first rodeo. He overachieved. He did an outstanding job. But how is he going to respond with all the pressure on him, having LeBron James and Luka Doncic on his team, and you got bounced in 5 games by the Timberwolves, who were 6th seed? Fair or not, like I said, even with the seedings or not, you shouldn't be going out with 1 playoff win. That's inexcusable. And a lot of Laker fans are going to have questions going into the offseason about how this is going to get corrected, what Rob Pelinka is going to do, what LeBron's going to do, what Luka's going to do, what JJ Redick's going to do. But it's going to be a very interesting offseason in Los Angeles. So congratulations to the Timberwolves, and a lot of deep soul searching out here in Los Angeles. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.